Oh, here it is. Ennio Marconi.
One, two, three, four. Are we working?
Yes, it is working.
Okay, let's try something we haven't done in a while.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen?
Greetings to you.
Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
Was there audio coming through?
Oh, yeah.
70%.
All right. Well, that's good. Wasn't sure. They're a little bit low, but at least we got them working this time.
for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR.
Yeah, it sounds like our jingle singers. They are back, as is the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark, coming right up from our tube radio operators. 27085 is our RF frequency of choice in the Central Valley of California. Not sure what conditions are like. I think we're still at 0 sunspots. We'll check in with our propagation expert. And OBP says the current number at 0 stretch 4 days. I know we've been having some fairly okay conditions just popping in and out, so we'll see if that will happen or not. In the meantime, if you can't pick us up on Channel 11 from the Central Valley, you can also always go to oldtuberadio.net or the streaming video, which I think is streaming somewhere right there, and you'll be able to listen in and make comments for our tube radio operators. We always like to start the net with our shortwave listeners. Say hello to them, and that's exactly what we are going to do. As I pull out my shortwave listener list, this is week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our 8-week roster, September 7th of 2019. We are in our 34th or 35th year. We've been doing this a long time, thanks to you. And we will continue and hopefully get some great radio check-ins tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. Speaking of check-ins, let's see if 00 is out there to get things started off.
Yes, he is. 00 checking in.
00 checking in. And if you go to the top of the page of your oldtuberadio.net, you will see the confirmation of the check-in where it goes from checking in to checked in. That way you know that the net control is actually paying attention, which is something that doesn't happen very often. Thanks, Phil. We'll get you on the regular go-around here in just a minute. We've also got a check-in for SWL number 1, and I do believe SWL number 2, Mr. OBP. The Ocean Beach Pearl is out there listening. You can chat with him over on the video link, which I think if you go to oldtuberadio.net, you can click on the video screen and it will take you over there, or maybe you've subscribed or something. Somehow you can get over to the video to say hi to everybody out there. Who is John and Ios also listening? And a host of others, which we will catch here in just a minute. SWL number 3, I saw Rob at the bowling alley yesterday, or not, rather on Thursday, and I did not check on his final scores. I know the first game was not going well, so if Rob gets in tonight, we'll find out about that. SWL number 4. SWL 5, I saw Ida, Mama Rose, yesterday, and she says hello to everybody, and she's looking good and feeling good. SWL number 6. SWL 7.
SWL 7 checking in.
I heard rumors that your bad static might have gone away.
Yes, it dropped off, thankfully.
Okay, well, that's not what I thought. Solar panels, the big rooftop solar panels have also been known for doing strange things. And I've got some down the street here. I've got a strange pulsing noise. My noise blanker takes it out, but it's very loud. So that could be another possibility. But I don't know how they work. I don't know if they're on all the time, or maybe it's something that if they're not generating. Keep an eye on it. If it's not generating something during, when the sun is up, or it's only when the sun is up, it could be somebody's rooftop solar panels.
Yeah, I've got a couple of massive arrays close to me, so it could be that. I'll have to search around.
All right. Yeah, I just thought of that. So we will see. Although my noise happens all the time, so I don't know. Thanks for checking in. And maybe we'll be listening or chatting with some of your radio collection as we start glowing in the dark in about 30 minutes here on the Old Tube Radio Network. I have an email check-in for SWL11 and SWL12, Jim and Lisa, and also looking for Mr. Cobra, SWL13. And Mike checks in sometimes on the oldtuberadio.net page. I have to take a look at that to actually see, you hear me thumping around on the desk here, who is listening and who might be waving a hand. Albert and Peter out there in Squamish, BC, standing by their radios, waiting for the beaconing signals coming out of California. We'll see what happens tonight, or if any of that happens tonight. And a host of many of you will talk to you here on oldtuberadio.net. Looking for SWL14. From Eastontown, SWL15. And, I have the ability now, if I can find the page, to actually put the control room estimate at the bottom. So you can give yourself a signal report and watch me fumble around with the paperwork here. How about SWL16? SWL17. And the reason it's about S7 is I set the RF gain control so that it brings the noise floor down like a minus 30 dB on the audio feed, so people don't go crazy listening in on their Universal Media NetWeb devices. Looking for SWL18? Because I'm not sure what the actual noise level. Let me check something here. If I turn. Yeah, about S6 or so. I messed up my controls. All right, continuing on with the directed net roll call. SWL18 we called, SWL19. Oh, I'm going to go back. SWL18, that's Mikey. Got him checked in on Facebook, via Facebook the other day. Over to SWL20, who we have a proxy check-in. He is away from the coiled cord microphonium, but Harvey, you might get a chance, if you get a break from wherever you're at, to tune us in at oldtuberadio.net, and I hope you do. I don't know if you'll be able to make any comments or not, but we'll probably be talking about you. SWL21, Mr. JT, and I searched. I was probably doing something wrong. I was not able to locate the old Radio Night feed on any of my items of interest, so I don't know if it wasn't there, or more likely than not, it was operator error on my part. And I'm looking to see if he has checked in yet on the big page, and maybe not. So maybe something's going on. There has been. We were complaining about 40-mile-an-hour gusts here earlier in the day, but there has been some way more mile-per-hour gusts than that along certain areas that some of our shortwave listeners, where their QTHs are. So everybody has made it through okay with the big storm going up the East Coast. Next is SWL22. SWL23. Shortwave listener 24. SWL 25.
Hello, Dennis, 25 and 74, checking in.
All right, the 2-for-1, 25 and 74. We will get to Miss Jilly at the appropriate time. You are sounding good, and hopefully things haven't blown away out there.
get this dead air out of here and get some fresh air. So everything's fine out here. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, cool stuff. All right. It's hopefully we don't get enough wind to mess up the west side there out by I-5 for the traffic. But like you said, it's blowing out all the dust and things. And maybe we will have blue skies tomorrow. I think that's a song. The Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark coming up. The shortwave listener roll call going on right now. About ready to go to page 2, and a reminder that I still don't have, although I was scoping out areas for the tower and trying to get some antennas back up here. I have to build a base and do all sorts of stuff. So I do not have the 2-meter crossband up. So if anybody is listening and hears some check-ins, I will appreciate any relays on that. Page 2, we're looking for SWL 27. SWL 29, we have a pre-check-in for Bill, Mr. Loner. SWL 30. SWL 31. Robert Treese out there in Tennessee, and I think I saw Hendersonville on early in the evening, and there they are right there. In Hendersonville, listening in. Don't know, maybe in far enough to not to get any of the wacky weather. Where it's clear and 73 degrees in Hendersonville tonight. Thanks for tuning in tonight. SWL 33, that's the control room here. Myself, Bozo Control, the jingle singers who are here and hooked up. We've got all the wiring configured the proper way, I think, to not get the double audio. And so we told them to come into the studio, which they are always happy to do on a Saturday evening, and participate in the Old Tube Radio Network. Next is SWL 34. From probably a cool Cheyenne, Wyoming, SWL 35. I'll check to see if Mr. Bill is frequenting the frequency here at some point, and not yet. There is Mike waving a hand. Mr. Cobra, I got you there, sir. We will put the X in the square and give you an official check-in. Thanks for remembering the Saturday night place to be. Let's go over to SWL 36. SWL 37. You'll probably be jumping in here soon enough. SWL 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40, checking in.
And I'm surprised my peanut whistle station even makes it to your receiver, but you're sounding good.
You are 20 over in Chinatown.
20 over in Chi-Town. Well, good deal. And you are, I don't know. I didn't look at the meter that's right in front of me, but you're wherever you're at. Looks like 10 over here. And do I have the attenuator on? No, I don't. I probably should, but I don't. Where are we at? SWL 41. SWL 42. SWL 43. SWL 44. And there is Ray checking in. Mr. Delta X-ray. We've got too many mices here that I have to click on. I see you out there on the Digi check-in for the Old Tube Radio Network. I will put an X in the square. Good to have you aboard this evening. Let's head up to North Fork. I wonder if they got wind out there. SWL 45.
Your jingle singers sound good, Dennis. 45.
Well, it helps to have stations that have good receivers. Makes my job easy here. Hope to hear some of your collection when we start glowing in the dark. Thanks for checking in. And let's see, I wanted to acknowledge our stations tuning in at oldtuberadio.net. Up in the Up in the front row, we've got Maryland, Hagerstown. San Francisco is in. I don't think we're going to get that kind of short skip tonight. Hello to Fresno. Our stations in British Columbia waiting. New York has been listening to me testing all afternoon, trying to work out the bugs. Hendersonville, Tennessee. They're kind of sneaking up. You guys are sneaking up to the front row there. We've got Italy up there in Buderim, I believe, on the just off the Adriatic Sea. Listening in. Hello to Auberry, Colorado, where sometimes the Old Tube Radio Network wafts in on the frequency. Hello to Dallas, Georgia. Brooklyn, New York is in. Centerville, Virginia. Hello to Washington. Huntington Beach, Oregon is also in. Florence, Kentucky. Kakalaki listening in. Fresno, and I don't know where Lytham is. Is that in the UK? Let me do a quick. Yeah, St. Anne's up there in the UK, somewhere near the Lytham's Green Golf Club and Saltcoats. And Wharton Bank listening in. So hopefully we will check in some of your favorite radios. Looking for SWL 46. SWL 47.
Well, greetings from the radio lounge, SWL 47. I feel bad that I'm chiming in from a location that Rick Steves has not really done a show on compared to some of those other folks that apparently are listening online. But nonetheless, good evening from Northwest Fresno.
Yeah, I don't think Rick Steves ever has come to Fresno, but Huell Hauser, I would suggest that maybe Huell Hauser will be poking his head through the window back there at some point and wanting to talk to all the Old Tube Radio operators and SWLs. You are sounding good, sir. Hopefully there's not too much dust kicking up over there in your radio patio. Thanks for checking in.
Don't forget me. I forgot. I was in the other room.
We figured you were in the other room, and I don't have an MC5 where I could put the tone alert, the tone call, and maybe beacon over to your Super MC11A. But you have found the microphonium. We are still on your page, so we will check in SWL 37.
Well, you figured that out quick, which radio I was on.
Yeah, it's not hard to tell sometimes. It sounds good. All right, go as you were, and we will be talking to you when we start glowing in the dark.
Absolutely.
SWL roll call 47. We called and checked in. How about Mr. Sam, SWL 48? Sometimes checks in at oldtuberadio.net. We'll keep an eye out for Sam, or at our Facebook page where you can also drop us a note for a check-in. Station I heard earlier sounding really good on my headphoniums here. SWL 49.
Hey there, Dennis. Big hello to you. Big hello to all the SWLs out there. 49ers checking in, and hope all is well. Enjoying the evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you as well. A check-in for SWL 49. And while I am on page 2, let's go back to probably cool Cheyenne and say hello to Mr. Bill, who is checking in just moments ago. We got you, Bill. Hope all is going well out there. You're looking good here for number 35. Let's go over to SWL 50. SWL 51.
Good evening, Dennis. 5-1 checking in. Got you about 7 minutes into downtown Center.
All right, sounding good. Usually when the wind blows, comes right down, what is it, Academy Avenue or whatever. Sanger gets the breeze, but you're sounding good tonight. Sounds like the antenna is still up. Thanks for checking in.
Yeah, it would help if I turned the modulation up. I had it down there.
Yeah, that's even better. I could hear you at 50%, but sounds even better. Got you now.
Temper, Dennis. Have a good evening.
SWL 52. SWL 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
53. Another one of those guys that's always on time and on frequency. Hello, Bob. Mr. Belair. We'll get to turn the page. Thanks for checking in.
You're welcome.
That'll take us to page 3 if I can find it. I wanted to say hello to, CB Radio News listening in. You know, I looked into, and you had a good suggestion about trying to get like the live link onto the Facebook page. Apparently it wants to use the camera, and which I can't do because the camera's in use for the other stream. So there may be another way to link up just the YouTube video, which I've done. But I understand having just the automatic live feed would be good. But the way they're working it, they capture the camera, and I can't. At least the way I'm doing this, you can only have your camera on one venue, so that takes the YouTube takes precedence on that. So I will research that more to see what I can do about that, because that's a good idea. MUF appears to be around 14 to 17 meters. I was hearing 20 meters earlier just fine when I was testing, Kevin, but you were right. I did not hear anything up on 17, and I could not hear any 10-meter beacons for sure. And who else? Let me scroll up. I want to make sure I catch everybody before some of our stations on the East Coast sometimes check in, but have to take off. So we'll skedaddle, see if we can get to some radios. Looking for SWL 50. Oh, we got 54 checking in. How could I miss 54? SWL 55. And the guy that got us started off as 00, SWL 56.
56, just for kicks.
And Phil, like me, are probably going to have all sorts of tree debris from this wind. I went on the street. You can kind of see behind me with all the other garbage there, the flora and fauna. My backlight moved. It used to shine right up in the bush there, but you can see what's going on. And it was just a mess out in the street. All sorts of little pine needles and cedar things and all sorts of stuff that I'm going to have to clean up tomorrow. Let's see. Phil is in. That takes us to SWL 58. SWL 59. SWL 60.
Hey, Dennis. Hey, crew out there for sure. SWL 60 checking in the DX 2527. Big Jake space.
Big Jake's Mr. 291. I don't have any. We didn't archive way back when, but we would have some great audio for a lot of us classic stations, 291 included if we did. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
Over to, let's see if Dino's out there. SWL 61.
61 checking in, Dennis.
Oh, the big time signal on the S meter right down there on the video screen tonight. You are sounding good. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks, Dennis.
Over to beautiful downtown Clovis, where they have a speed limit on the wind. I don't think it can ever get more than about 14.5 miles an hour there, because it blows all the decorations off of Pulaski Avenue. SWL 62.
Evening time, Dennis. This is 62. Checking in on time. Well, almost on frequency. My crystal must be drifting.
You sound good on my 6K wide filter. I could probably go a little bit high and a little bit low, and you would still sound on frequency to myself and the SWLs tuning in at oldtuberadio.net live, and who knows when you might be watching the video here from Fresno, California, the Old Tube Radio Network, where stations like SWL 62, Mr. Lucky Lindy, have been listening in and checking in for pretty much all the 35 years that we have been doing this and enjoying Saturday evening on the CB radio, kind of the way it used to be 35 years ago and 50 years ago. We will be talking to the radios that glow in the dark, the vacuum tube radios from produced from about 1958 to about 1978, coming up here after the roll call. Thank you, Rex, for checking in. We say hello to our New York stations, SWL 63 checking in, and I also see that Who else is out there? Smarty Jones, waving a hand to all our listeners staying up late with us tonight. Over to SWL 64. SWL 65. Shortwave listener 66. SWL 67. SWL 68. SWL 69. SWL 70. SWL 71. That should be Stan in Dallas, Georgia. I did see Dallas, Georgia listening in, beaconing. Also, hello to our station in, where is it, Milan, Switzerland? Somewhere out there. It's another station out that way. It might be Italy. I can't quite grab where. Fahignolo. I can't even pronounce it, so I won't even try. But welcome to the Old Tube Radio Network here tonight. We're going to be listening for some classic CB radios checking in. Let me get SWL 71 checked in here officially. Over to SWL 72. SWL 73. We've got a check-in for the proprietor of that 50,000-watt radio station, keeping the tubes on the cool side here this evening for Miss Jilly. We've got you checked in. Over to SWL 75.
I give 73 approximately.
All right, Mr. John. Yeah, see, without having my 2 meter, sometimes I'll chat with him on the 5.7, but I haven't done that in a while, so we'll get him checked in, and it's very hard for me to make the FARC meetings, which would have been yesterday, right? First Friday? Or is it? No, first Friday is CARP, second Friday, because I'm always working Friday nights, and he's usually sometimes there, so we got him checked in. Thanks. SWL 77.
Good evening, Dennis, and 73s to all the listeners. 77 transmitting from the Tower of Power in the Tower District, and boy, it's getting windy.
It's, we're hoping that it's a good thing. Like I said, maybe clean up the air a little bit after all the dust settles. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't wash the motor vehicles today, because if it's not windy tomorrow, that might be a good thing to do after I sweep up all the junk all over the place. Thanks, Dennis. Radio is sounding good. Over to SWL 79. Shortwave listener 80. Reminder that we have the tube radios coming up. Let me refresh here and see who is jumping around on the video that I missed. Robert King and Reedley, we'll get you. Listening in Australia from Rockhampton, QLD. Gerald, hello. Give it a year or two, and probably the beginning of the net, we'll have some conditions your way. And thank you, Neil. It is in Italy. I double-checked my map wasn't coming up. Talking to you. Bob and Steve, hey, we've got the Studio B up and running. The wires are correct. We don't have the double audio. And so the the jingle singers are enjoying the private jetted ice cream and cake. I tell you, these guys from Ohio spare no expense when it comes to the Old Tube Radio Network and our one and only jingle singers. So cookies, longer mic cords. You know what? And you reminded me of something. I don't know if there's a flag. See, there's no flag on the mic here. The Heil logo is on this side. It's right there. So I should probably go to Bob's website and tell him, guess who's using a PR40? But before I do that, I'm going to have to figure out and see the boom is the wrong spot. There's no place that his logo is showing. So until I can figure out that, maybe I better not talk to Bob Heil. But he might feature, he might feature the LT Radio Network or something. Thanks, guys, for helping out with the jingle singers. Gene, 111 scanner, man, QRTN standing by in another Squamish, BC. Boy, if we ever get some conditions to BC, we will sort of kind of stop everything here and see if we can get to talk to the whole group that is listening in up there. There's Stan, SHW, the Sierra Hotel Whiskey, beaconing in, alias KBZ 0185. I would have liked that call. It's basically KBZ0. It looks like Bozo spelled sideways. I like that. Bozo Control would really like that call. CB Radio News, watching in from West Virginia. I hope the weather is nice. And let me stop talking and continue with the roll call so we can check in the radios. Page 4 is where we are at, SWL 81. Sometimes Steve Areno gets in on the video side. Keep an eye out for Steve, SWL 82. Probably hunkered down in the ditch banks tonight with all that dust blowing around. SWL, I've got to check in for SWL 84, and that is Mr. Cheerio's kid. We'll try Reedley, SWL 85. And then I have check-ins for SWL 86, 87. Boy, that page is slow. And SWL 88, that is, or R, Mountain Maid, Tandy Girl, and Snowy Owl, respectively. Over to SWL 89. Shortwave listener 90. Out in Madeira, who sounds great. I hear him just fine business when he checks in on the Wednesday night 10-meter sideband net. SWL 92. Must be something about sideband. SWL 93. Boy, somebody was way out there. SWL 98.
Checking in, Dennis.
All right, you've got some of that Monterey weather coming in tonight. I think it was about 75, 74 right now. It's going down maybe to 50, the high 50s, low 60s. But it's still September. Can do that. Thanks for checking in. We got you, Dave.
Thank you, Dennis.
From the mobile, perhaps, SWL 103. Hello, Cheesy E. And 301 Video Gates is over on the video side, saying good evening. I like that. Good evening, fellow radio people who are hopefully, like I am, waiting for those tube radios to start glowing in the dark. SWL 109. Northeast Georgia waving a hand from Mr. Butterbean, looking good over at the old tube radio YouTube site. SWL 110. Checking in from Reedley. I don't know if the wind is blowing my signal down there or not. SWL 111. I see you on the page. And I hear you good. I hear you good on the 10-meter net Wednesday. You and Chuck out in Madeira sounding really good on the sideband. So I don't know. It could just be the AM noise. But he's listening on the stream, so I've got to check in. Robert, thanks. Station, I could, with always good audio, I'm sure I could set up the dummy load and maybe hear this guy. SWL 114.
114, checking in.
And sounding good doing it. Thanks, Wayne. We got you checked in.
Also, can you check in the 2 ditch banks of Biola tonight?
Yeah, I will do that. I figured maybe they're hunkered down for the wind here or something. So we'll get Ron and Jeremy checked in tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis. Station.
The station, go ahead, over.
SWL
SWL 93 on late check-in.
All right, and we are on your page, Louis, so not a problem. SWL 93. Sandbagging no more. We've got you checked in, over.
Thank you, over, and out.
The radios are coming right up, so don't go away. Butterbean, yeah, I was wondering about DD21 there because I was searched for the show tonight and I couldn't find anything. I thought maybe it was something I was doing wrong, but I have the same thoughts. I hope everything was okay through the hurricane. Maybe he smartly, lowered things and kind of strapped himself to the ground rod, which isn't going to go anywhere, and is safe and sound, but just taking it easy. We are looking for SWL 128, who also may be, let me refresh the page here, hunkered down for the duration. Nope, there he is. Hello, John Lee. 40 meters and up and down, 11 meters dead. Yeah, when I was tuning up, 40 was in, 20 was in, not too bad, but like Kevin said, the MUF pretty much stopped at 15 megs. WWV was coming in great at 10, so Fairfax, Virginia is checked in. Thank you, sir. Over to SWL 131. SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133 checking in.
All right, the wind has not affected the wires. You are sounding good into Midtown Fresno tonight, Dave. We've got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
And a station was pleased to hear earlier as he was checking out some of his radios. SWL 135.
SWL 135 checking in.
And sounding good doing it. And Cliff, I will pause here in a moment and say thank you once again for your great photography, which we used often, of your collection and all that good stuff. But anyway, it's nice to have those available. And we get good comments on the quality of the picture and the fact that they're always specific. They've got channel 11 when possible, and on and doing something interesting when possible, and good stuff. So Mr. Green Arrow was sounding good.
I was happy to do that.
And we have a proxy check-in for SWL 137. Let's see if Tony is still out there. SWL 145. And I thought I heard him in earlier. Over to SWL 147 up in Kakalaki. The report, which is scrolled off my screen, checking in after dodging Hurricane Dorian on Thursday. I thought you were close as it made it up the coast there. A lot of rain and a little breezy, but no serious damage in the vicinity there of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Got 2 days off out of the deal. Well, you got to get it some way, right? Radio very quiet with slight traces of Midwest conditions at about 5 o'clock, but it didn't last long. Dr. Jazz in Kakalaki. Thank you, sir. Good to hear from you, and good to know that everything is well. And there's DD21 over on the video side. Hello, sir. We've got SWL 21 checked in. Let me go up to the page and put the big 21 beacon with a check-in mark for all to see. He's been cleaning up in the yard, and they were affected by the hurricane, but it's good to see that you are back. And like I said, the ground rod, it properly came through. You just strap everything, put the bungee cord to the ground rod, and you won't have to look too far to find the stuff. Let's head up to Course Gold for SWL 195.
195,
sounding good. The air is clear, and so are the signals. The Course Gold Starliner. Thank you, Jim. And then SWL 226. And anybody that I might have missed, or if you're in sort of DX land, I will listen through the headphoniums here. Would anybody like to make a comment or check in OTR listening? I hear somebody. It sounds like you're off frequency. Go ahead. All right, 650 checking in. It's weird. It sounds like you're on some other channel through my receiver. I think you're just far enough down in the noise where the receivers can't figure out how to process you there. But I do hear you, and thanks for waving a hand to the old tube radio network. Over. Yeah, so far. We don't have the long weekend this week, but I think it's going to be long enough cleaning up here for the baby win that we had, and DD21 is actually cleaning up in the real breezes. All right, back in a moment. I'm going to set up for the tube radios, which I'm sure we will have. Many of the video will stay up. The audio will reset quickly, and then we will be back with the whole reason that the old tube radio network is here is to make sure that the classic vintage tube radios get a chance to get on the air, get fired up, and we all have a good time listening. Back in a moment with your glow-in-the-dark radios.
One more before you go.
Hey, I am here. The list is, where is it? The list is still in my hand, and I'm heading over to page 2 so that I can find... First of all, I have to find page 2. Yes, page 2, so I can find SWL 50, over.
10-4 evening, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for checking in, Mark. And now I will be right back. All right, I think we're up and running. I have reset the audio stream for the archives. We will give it a test here with the new and improved OTR jingle singers from Studio B. If they, yes, they are aligned at the ribbon microphones and ready to go.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Station for you is OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radios glowing in the dark. The classic vintage tube radios built from 1958 when the Class D 11-meter Citizen Band radio service was official from the FCC to about 1978 when, of course, the band was still official, but manufacturers really wanted to put in solid state and clocks and dials and all sorts of stuff. But we here at the Old Tube Radio Network think that maybe it is time to bring some of those radios back to the fore, and we'd like to let you listen to them and show them to you right here in the Old Tube Radio Network. So that's what we will do. The Old Tube Radio Network is listening for radio number 1.
135, 135.
All right, and we've got a couple. 135, head up into the air chair. We will be right with you. Who is the other station?
45.
And that's Paul. Take a break into the green room with the Jingle Singers. There is plenty of food to eat, and we will catch you for radio number 2. So back to you in a moment. And as they say, it is that time again, ladies and gentlemen, where we talk to our tube radio operators, and Cliff is one of the many who has multiple radios in his Radio Shack of various flavors. I wonder which one we have tonight. Hello, radio.
Hello, radio. This is another radio. 135 here with the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. 24 channels, no waiting. Gosh, I can't remember all the tube complement right now, but this is the General Charlie Mike -3 handheld plastic gray non-amplified microphone. Back to you.
All right, sounding good. There's a little bit of an AC note in there, but it's not messing with your audio too much. I have a picture up in the corner here, and let me dial into that full screen here, because I think it is actually the picture of the radio on which you were talking. Let's go to that one, give you some... Yes, it says it's from the collection of Cliff SWL 135, and I think I have the tube complement somewhere. We'll talk about that. But give us another transmission as we take a look at the radio that is on Channel 11, by the way.
As it is now. Tried to get that in there. Green Channel 11. Let's see. There's a great big huge tube in the middle of the radio I can never remember the name of. I know I know Harvey will know what tube that is, but I can never remember it.
Well, let me see. It may be the tube. I don't have a shot down the top of the radio. There is a ECLL 800, which is the modulator output tube. That could be it. Paul would also know, because he's got an 11A and Chris has got an 11A. It might be a general radio telephone evening tonight. We'll have to stand by and see. I'm going to, if you're watching the video, I think indeed there's a microphone. Let me tilt down to that. The CM3, that is a lot of audio coming out of that radio for a microphone that looks more like it should be in Broderick Crawford's Buick, but it's making beautiful notes.
Oh gosh, what was that? 2140 by 10-4.
Yeah, from the good old days of Highway Patrol, I think it was, as they scattered about up and down Mulholland Drive in Southern California. The radio's sounding good. Like I said, there is a little bit of an audio hum, and I don't know if that's induced, say, from something close by, or if it's just the radio saying, you should key me up more often. 9 tubes, 2 transistors. I think somebody told me the transistors were for some 12-volt conversion things going on, which I think it will run 12 volts if you have the proper cables. 6 GE5, 6 CW4, 6 AL11, the 12AX7A, and the mic preamp, which is probably one reason the audio sounds so good. 6 BA6, 6 U8A, RF amp, a 6 BZ7, it looks like. And you can find out more if you've got a Sam's Book 22 on page 45, or you can just listen to the Old Tube Radio Network when Cliff takes a transmission and says,
"Hey, it's a General Radio Telephone." I'm sorry about the AC hum. Maybe I just have it plugged in backwards. Who knows? Sometimes they do that, believe it or not. If you plug them in a different way, things change. On the plug, it's not polarized, so you never know.
Sounds good. It's very loud, and you will If you listen into the archive, you will be pleased. Radio number 1 at 8:45, getting us started off. The General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. The radio, if you are looking at the page at oldtuberadio.net or watching the video, that is the radio that is transmitting. Or I should say, the radio that Cliff is transmitting. It's a beautiful thing. Back to you for another transmission, and good to hear you, and thanks for getting us started off.
Hey, thanks for letting me check it in. I haven't been here in a while. I'm glad to see I'm still on the list. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thank you. Sounding good in the neighborhood. I think that's how they put it. Let's go to radio number 2 as Paul steps up into the air chair from the big town of North Fork, which is, 30 or 40 miles to the north and east of my location here in Midtown Fresno. Paul always puts out a good signal and has probably one of the larger radio collections for the Central Valley. I want to say the largest collection in Central Valley. I would almost go out on a limb to say that. And probably in California, when it comes to general radio telephones, like we just heard, somewhere there's a picture, an awesome picture of about a ton of general radio telephones on a shelf somewhere. Hello, Paul, over.
Hello, Dennis. I got one little thing I'd like to have you do. I don't know whether you can or not. Could you turn up the jingle singer just a little bit louder?
Yeah, you know what? Someone else reported that they were, at least over the air, unmuch. Let me do that now because I can make the technical item and they are ready to do what they want, and I need to actually look at some meters while I do that. So here we go. This is why we test and do things on the air. The Old Tube Radio Network, your friendly place to be on a Saturday.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
And I'm not listening in the proper way. I was just doing it through the meter, and I think I got the right control for the over-the-air. There's a separate control for the stream. There's a separate control over the air. So did that help at all, over?
Well, for my ears, yes, it did help. I don't know if it helped anybody else, but it came up. It sounds much better. Try it for a while to get used to it then. Anyway, I'm going to check in my Buddy RC11B receiver with a Buddy TX11B transmitter.
All right, the Buddy Bass. Oh man, and I didn't save the link, and I'm not sure that I can find it. Let me put up a picture. Toby has the greatest picture. He just refurbed a Buddy Bass, and he's got all of the sets, all the things lined up in a row. First, I'm going to put up this one from Harvey's collection that doesn't have the proper speaker on it, but I want to get that in there. And I just don't think I'm going to be able to find that other picture. I'm going to have to start making collections and getting people's okay to put that up. But it was probably the best one I've ever seen. Audio sounds good. You are nice and clean, and I haven't checked frequency or not, but the Buddy Bass is doing a good job. I haven't heard you on the Buddy in a while. Go ahead and take another transmission.
That picture's close. It's not exactly mine, but it's close. Anyway, yeah, no, there's only about 800 of these beautiful radios made. This one right here is a serial number 333, so it was in the fall, I think, after they were shut down by the FCC one time. I think that this outfit here, me manufacturing the Marina Communications, made this particular radio, or not this radio, but the runs in this series of radios. So anyway, this radio has never been converted to 10 meters. Everything is stock on the thing. And like I said, Harvey calls it the Baby Buddy, which it did a pretty good job even though it's stock, I think. Back to you.
No, it sounds fine. The audio's quality is nice. The fidelity is good. the picture is not in the right aspect ratio, so that it's stretched out a little bit, but I wanted to get the advertisement here that shows the on-the-air. It's a separate speaker that has got the giant on-the-air light, which is pretty cool. And then the transmitter is the smaller unit, which, I mean, this is not, when you compare it to something like a super satellite, it's just like the dashboard of a 58 Oldsmobile. This radio is very plain, but boy, does it, fool you when you're listening to the RF output. It's a talker, and they, like you said, they didn't make many of them. They are hard to come by, and they are coveted by those who really like the loud audio and the radios that can be modified. Because I think you can do almost like a 30-watt final or 30-watt input into the finals the way they've got it set up, and it's good old plate modulation. Back to you.
Yeah, you can really make them talk, and like you say, get up over 40 watts, which is kind of a joke for this thing. But anyway, they can do it plus on the thing. Now, that's a very neat radio, I tell you, and that is the picture of it right there. That's the picture of it exactly. You see the big speaker on the air light on the top, the speaker on the top of the radio. It's a big speaker, and the air light really shines up when you key the mic. Very neat old classic radio. I just love the thing. I love to operate the thing. It's not that difficult to operate. It's real simple, actually. But it's just a thrill to have the whole thing in your hands. Anyway, like I said, it was manufactured in Pasadena, California by Marina Communications. And they had, this was one of the ones that is kind of a rare little thing. On the transmitter, they have an external light, factory mounted, on the outside of the meter. Which all the rest of them are internal. So this must have been when they were having their transfer over from FCC and over to whatever they did to the thing. And they kept it running for a few years. I think you could probably fill us in on that. Back to you.
Yeah, they did. Harvey knows about that too. The one we're showing is custom built by Autronics, but the, which I think was in Southern California, the Marina Communications was here on the coast, or coast of California. It even says there's a factory 10-meter conversion for that. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody on 10-meter AM on a buddy base. But it would be a loud radio. The transmitter is, your transmitter is all 23 channels, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, the receiver transmitter is 24 channels. The receiver, you got a VFO or 6-channel receive on the thing. Either way on that, I don't know. I guess they figured the VFO would handle all of the ones that you had besides the 6 that they had the crystals for. I've run crystals both ways on this thing. It's real solid with crystals, of course, and VFO does have a tendency to drift a little bit. But I'm running a Charlie Plus 3 amplifier ceramic microphone on it. It seems to like it, so I'm going to leave it on there. I'll tell you, this thing, it has a total of 18 tubes in the thing, in both radios. And the wiring inside is all hand wired, and it's just the neatest job you ever seen. It's not slopped together. It's just really, really nice for an old radio. Anyway, back to you.
Okay, and Corey brings up a good point, because when you look at some of the details, the original price is $124.95. That was for the transmitter, the TX11B, and it said includes channel 11 transmit crystal. Now, there's spots for all 23 channels, so I'm not sure if the factory, if you could say, no, I want all 23, and they would install them for you, but I'm sure that would be increase the price considerably. Or, in the early days, you would just put in the channels you want. The receiver, of course, like you said, you have the VFO dial, and then you've got a spot for 6 crystal control channels, so you don't have to crank the knob and find frequency and spot the thing. So I'll have to talk to somebody who's had the buddies for a while and see if they ever had them where they had to put crystals, because I think there was a 12-channel version as well. See if anybody ever had to install crystals in them, or if it just, you could get it from the factory that way. But I'm looking at the price, $124.95 with one crystal. I'm assuming that you probably would have been a little bit more if you had the thing loaded up. Custom built by Autronics or Marina Communications. I don't have a date that these were produced. The tube complement in the transmitter is a 6CB6, a 2E26. And according to the ad, that's the final, a 2E26. And a 6V6, 7199, some interesting tubes in the transmitter. But we don't get a lot of buddies. But I mean, considering how many are out there, we do get a lot here on the Old Tube Radio Network. A lot of people have them in their collections here locally. But it's always fun when they show up in there. There's the transmitter and receiver. I just changed pictures. Got to get an idea. Looks like somebody might have painted that one. They're just kind of plain Jane radios, but boy, they sound good. Another transmission, Paul. Thanks for bringing the buddy by UR Radio 2.
Yeah, okay. You got the little painting art to Browning. I like it. Anyway, this is on the receiver on the VFO. You see on the right-hand side, the lower one is the receiver. It's got quite a large window there for the meters to show where you're at on the thing, and it's all strings moved in there. In other words, there's controlled by a spring and a wire in the thing, or they call it a wire, I guess, and call it a string. Anyway, that's what moves the thing. Interesting. That's back to the old times. Very neat. Love the old stuff. Thanks, Dennis, for checking it in.
All right, there's the big full picture. I wanted to go to that with not the on-the-air speaker and the D104. Thanks for checking it in. Yeah, thanks for bringing it by. Radio number 2, the Old Tube Radio Network, where real radio is going in the dark. Top of the hour, there's a breaking station. I will say to the breaking station to stand by, one, because Jingle Singers, who are back after a 2-week hiatus, would really like to do the top of the hour ID, which is something that they often do. So here we go. Hopefully the volume level on the transmit side is okay. I think we're good. On the stream, here we go.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
All right, still might be a little weak. I was looking at the PP meter. But getting the job done. Thanks to the Jingle Singers and Bob and Steve in Ohio for bringing all the good stuff over there to keep them from running away. Who was the breaking station? This is OTR.
It was 37.
The ever popular Christopher. Let me log you in here at 9:02 Pacific Daylight Time. Or is it 4:02? Universal Coordinated Time. Might be having our UK stations check in. The sun is about ready to come up. Oh, and John, I want to make a comment. John Lee, that I missed here while we were talking about the Buddy Bass. Picked up a Buddy Bass recently. Needs lots of work, and it's in the line for a rebuild. Look at the one that Toby has on the Facebook site. He just redid everything, and man, it looks nice. I wish we could hear that. But what we will hear is whatever Chris has on the radio table. Hello.
Hello, Dennis. I would like to check in my general radio telephone.
The general radio telephone. You know, we have had a general radio telephone check in already.
I wonder who does. You know, I think I might know that guy. Doesn't he wear green a lot of time? He thinks he's an arrow that goes with a bow.
I'm not sure, but yes. And we will put the picture up once again. I may have some other ones, but I wanted to bring that up because it's a great shot for a great radio. Our second general radio telephone, I bet it's a Super MC11A, over.
Oh, and by the way, I wanted to mention that this is an MC11A 24-channel tuber that glows in the dark with the old man in the wheelchair with the IV standing next to him. And we're running this with a stock handheld microphone. Over.
It sounds very good. Okay, the old man in the wheelchair. Maybe I can help it. Now that we've got the new camera stuff going on, let me go to the super close-up. All right, good. This is going to work. Because people may not... There's the microphone we were doing earlier. Now I'm going to... If you're on the video or watching the page, if we're talking about the old man in the wheelchair, it's not a derogatory thing in any way. But if you look between the channel selector knob and the S meter, you will see this thing, this scribbling. What that actually is, and it's not on the Super MC11, but it is on the Super MC11A, and that is a G, an R, and a T. That's the General Radio Telephone logo. But in the early days of OTR, we didn't know that, and so someone said, well, it looks like it's an old man in a wheelchair with an IV. So now that I've said that, maybe you will not see the GRT. Back to you.
Yeah, no, it's been... I always call it the old man in the wheelchair there with the IV. Yeah, it reminds me of me in my days at times.
Yeah, I think we're all getting there. But yeah, if you had a Super MC11, you would not see that. That is something that they added on the 11A. Somebody probably spent a lot of time figuring that out. That little interesting logo there, so it's good that you have it. Your radio is loud, just like our one that we heard for radio number 1. It's doing a good job as always, and I think you too, like Mr. Green Arrow, are running the normal stock microphonium with that.
Yeah, this radio don't need nothing amplified.
No, it doesn't. Actually, if you put an amplified mic, you'd have to turn it way down. And I'm not sure if the audio quality would sound as good or not. So, of course, a lot of the manufacturers built their radios to sound good out of the box with what was provided. And, of course, General Radio Telephone was no slouch when it came to that. When all their Super MC series and the VS series, and they all sound good. You are Radio 3, logging in at 9:02. We will go back to you for a transmission, and we thank you for bringing it by. Over.
You betcha, Dennis, and thank you. I'm going to fire up another one here. I'll try to get another one in here. So, all right, thank you, Dennis. I'm out.
All right, and thank you. The old Tube Radio Network here. Real Radio is going in the dark. Looking for Radio 4. I want to say hello, if I didn't, to Rick out of Everett, Washington. Saying hello to all the Tube Radio operators and SWLs. Also, there is 357 in BC over on the video side. Hello to you. It's been a while since I have seen your logo on screen. So thanks for remembering the Saturday night place to be, the old Tube Radio Network, listening for Radio 4.
Number 7.
We have SWL7 at 9:07. Check, I should say, step up into the air chair. We'll be right with you. Was there another station breaking?
37.
And 37. Chris, hang out with the Jingle Singers. We will be back to you for radio number 5. In the meantime, let's say hello to Mr. Ed and find out what is on the end of his microphonium.
Yes, there is one more out there.
Oh, and there is one more out there. Okay, hang on. Who was the other breaking station? Over.
45.
And SWL 45. All right, Paul. The order we have is Radio 4. Coming up next is Ed. Radio 5 after that is Chris. And then, Paul, you will be Radio 6 after Christopher. So hang in there. Hang out with our... They have a really good party going on in the other studio. So that is actually the place you want to be. We'll be right back to you. SWL 7, otherwise known as Mr. Ed. I'm glad I hope the interference is still gone bye-bye and we will be able to have a conversation with you here. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank goodness it's gone. This one is the Golden Eagle R68 T68 with the banana mic.
All right, I'm getting to know the sound of that radio, and it has definitely has its own sound. I will bring in the R68 T68 ad, full page ad. I mean, this is back in advertising things. So Browning did spend a lot of money, especially for color advertisements and things, but these radios sold for big prices, but a lot of people wanted them. And now you've got one.
Yes, as a matter of fact, this was brought back to life by Harvey, number 20. It used to belong to number 84, Jerry, which I spoke to him on 40 meters this morning and let him know I was back on the air and doing what it's supposed to do.
Good. You know, I was listening to 40 early this morning, and it was just really not sounding good. Of course, I'm listening to it through the Starduster antenna. And so it's good to know that he is in the radio room, and maybe he's listening. Jerry, if you're listening, we like the radio here. We got you all. We got everybody checked in tonight. And if I go back, let me do this. Right behind me, right there. That is Jerry and family, courtesy the Old Tube Radio Network on the air light is still beaconing and looking good. Let's go to a full-page picture of the radio, and over to you for transmission.
Yeah, this one, RV did a pretty good job on the peaking and tweaking. Dead keys at 7 and it swings up a little over 20, so this thing's really stomping. And with the stock microphone, so I'm afraid to see what would happen if you put a power mic on it.
Well, back in the old days with SWL-8, I think he was running a power mic on one of his Brownings. We used to tell him, and he couldn't, there was something he was running, he couldn't turn it down. So we used to ask him to, step over into the corner of the room where the curtains were and kind of wrap himself up into that to take out the room noise. There is, what am I hearing? There was like a little something in the background. Somebody said it sounds like you've got spark plug noise or something, but, oh, okay, that's on the receiver. Oh, you know what I was going to do? I was going to scroll up, now that we've got the item here, and see if on this advertisement it tells us anything we don't know. Front panel controls, 23 channel selector, channel lock for full featured receiving, rear illuminated selector dial. It's got more features. It's got more features than most of the radios that we've checked in already, I think.
Yeah, it's new to me, so I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It's really nice. It does not quite have the receive that the Mark III does. Now, that one's definitely got a cleaner receive on it. It's a little bit better.
Well, I'm assuming as close as we are, it probably does a good job. Let me do the S meter and then come back. Let's see if you're 20 over with that. I think you probably are.
Yeah, I would think so. In fact, when that little ping key's up there, according to the PEP meter, it swings up to 30. So it should be hitting you pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sure the ping is getting it into 100% modulation, and it gets a full 2 bars from the resting carrier when it does that. And like I said, you're underdriving it probably just a little bit with that microphone, but it's loud and it sounds good. Radio 4 at 9:07, the check-in time, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 from the date, I think it's 1967 to 1968, originally sold for $395. There were 2, a Series 1 and a Series 2, and I think we've determined that you probably have the Series 2. We've got some stations waiting, so we will go back to you for another transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
Definitely the Series 2. And yeah, go ahead and mark me down for number 7, because I have another one warmed up and ready to go, and I'll take back and listen to the next 2 gentlemen.
All right, as Chris comes up from the green room with the Jingle Singers, and that should free up a seat at the popcorn bar where you can head over that way. And we've got you logged. We've got number 7 in for number 7 at 9:13. SWL 37 stepping up to the microphone. Hello, Chris.
And hello, Dennis. This is me one more time. I would like to check in my G PowerMate, the Jim Marine Products 23 channel tuber that glows in the dark. And this here's the pretty blue one that I think. Yeah, it is a pretty blue one. And we're running this here with the amplified D104 lollipop microphone. I was trying to see if I could see the number on it, but I guess the number finally wore off of it. I think it's like a TUG8 or a TUG9, one of the two. That's mainly about all I have. So anyway, that's what I'm running with it. Over.
Gem Marine Products G PowerMate. I don't know if Ray is still listening, but if he is, I'm sure he will enjoy hearing the sound of this radio. It is from your collection, the picture that we have, so it probably looks a lot like that. In fact, I'm sure it looks every bit like that. Back to you.
All right, so was he out there?
He checked in earlier on the video side. He's been very busy, but he did wave a hand. So sometimes, you know, if you're listening at oldtuberadio.net, you can kick the audio up and listen in as you jump around.
Now, did you notice which hand was the left hand or right hand?
I do not know. I do not have a camera for that.
Oh, okay. He just waved. Okay. All right, well, that's good enough. At least we know he's still kicking.
Yeah, maybe, maybe just barely. The G PowerMate was one of the Panasonic clone radios that always have good audio, like the Robin T123B and others. I hear that they are plate modulated, which makes sense from all the good audio that they happen. And this one has, what has it got? The fine tune knob there underneath all the other little lights and dials. But it sounds good. You are radio, what did I call you? Radio number 5. Give us a transmission, and it's sounding good.
All right, at least it's still working. Hi, Des. Watch a little bit of the big with the wife and back.
All right, don't go away too soon. The audio was almost not there a few times. So transmit again, watch the wiggle meters and the lights, and make sure that we don't have a problem here.
Okay, is it working there now?
It is working. Over.
I said I will see what's going to happen. I'm going to watch a little bit of the boob tube with the wife. And I said, if I do check one in, if the urge hits me, you know I will be back. But if not, you know I did check in a couple anyway. So, all right, Dennis, thank you.
All right, thank you. And the answer to your question is right and left.
That figures he don't know which is which, so he just do both that way he'd know.
All right, he's over on the video side making some comments, but I think your radio did wake him up a little bit. Other than that, he might be snoozing. Well, we'll try and keep everybody awake tonight as we check in radios here on the old Tube Radio Network. Thanks, Chris, for Radio 5 and Gem Marine Products G PowerMate. Over to Radio 6 we go, and that is, who's jumping up in the air chair here? That is Paul. Hello from North Fork, over.
Yeah, I don't know whether that was the dip going in and out, but I kind of lost the signal for a while. I don't know what's going on. I hope it's looking all right now. Anyway, yeah, I want to check my generator telephone, MC7.
All right, the audio is there. I'll give you some chatter and make sure that you can get me dialed in on the receiver. The radio we're talking about is the MC7. See if we can grab a picture of that. Yes, indeed. And not sure. It might be from your collection. We will find out. If you can hear me, take a transmission. Over.
No, that's not mine. Oh, got a the speaker. Too bad for somebody else. Anyway, no, this is the plain front radio, as you can see. Not much there. It's just basic. Very basic, nothing fancy, like we're going to get into that a little bit later. But it does have our type modulator on the thing, and that didn't work out too well with the microphone. There's only one to accept these particular carbon mics. I don't know whether anybody's ever tried to fool around with it or not. I haven't tried. There's no reason for it. This thing got so much forward swing on the thing. It's just a stock mic on the thing. It's surprising. I don't know how the modulation is, but it's swinging the needle good, so back to you.
All right, I'm glad you asked that. From 1965, when this radio came out, the MC7, They probably didn't have the 6 out that long. The 5 was around, and then the MC6 and the MC7 with the bullhorn instead of the tone alert. And the audio is loud. The audio is loud, but the quality is very muffled. So I'm thinking the carbon microphone may have some issues with the carbon granules or whatever's in there, and you'll hear it on the replay. You'll hear that you're loud, but for clarity, especially in the high frequencies, it's just a bit muffled. And I'm used to hearing you a little bit clearer. So I'm having a feeling maybe the carbon has packed up in that microphone a little bit. Original price $199.50, and it did have the Civil Air Patrol. Before I go on too long, let me go back to you for transmission. Make sure you're still hearing me okay. Over.
Well, thanks for the archives. I'll see what it sounds like. I got the full mic strip. It's probably accepted. I didn't know whether it sounded good or not. I'm just sort of excited about the way it's working as far as screening and everything and that. The microphone is not up there. It's not sounding good. We'll get it fixed up, Hank. Anyway, back to you.
All right, I went to the picture where we've got the S meter in there, so you can see that you're getting quite some good forward movement on the S meter, which tells me that the modulation percentage is there. It's just the fidelity or the quality, if you will, where it doesn't have a lot of, as Mr. Heil would say, articulation. And I have a feeling that might be because of the packing of the carbon granules on the on the MC7. I think the Supers were the next one, right? The Super MC8, 1965. And that was probably their last one. It says it goes 6 volt, 12 volt, and 115 volt AC. There weren't a lot of 6 volt cars left at that time, probably, but this radio will do that. A nice looking radio, though. It might be a little bit on the plain side, but I like the with the rack handles and the brushed aluminum front. Let's go back to a close-up as you take another transmission on Radio 6 from General Radio Telephone. Thanks for bringing it by. Over.
Okay, so I told you this is the first one with a turret tuner. That turret tuner stayed with them all the way through the 12. So use a smaller crystal in the thing. But that turret tuner was really neat. One thing it didn't have the VFO to increase the station, but I think Tate came up with the VFO after that. But anyway, that's about it. Thanks for checking in, Dennis.
All right, you mentioned that. I do have an ad, so let me, before we head over to Radio 7, see if we can cruise the ad. $199.50, complete with a microphone, 110-volt AC cord, one receive transmit crystal, channel 11. That's why it was another radio that had channel 11 in it, was the Buddy Bass. And that's why we are on channel 11, because more likely than not, if you find an old tube radio, it's going to have channel 11 in it. Someone said that was a call channel, but it's a nice place to hang out, because more than likely we will catch as many radios as possible, because that crystal will be there. 25-watt construction, whatever that means. 24-channel turret tuner, there it is. Once again, General has produced a new and original design which is destined to set the pace for the radio industry. The new MC7 is the first 24-channel unit offered to the Citizens Band public. So this must have been the first one with Civil Air Patrol. This unit is the result of 2 years of development and has proven to be the most efficient transceiver yet designed for citizen band use. Move into the professional category in citizen band communications. See the MC7 at your General dealers today. I feel like a Mr. Announcer now. You'll be glad you did. I know somebody said that. We say that all the time in the radio station. You'll be glad you did. 3501 West Burbank Boulevard and the 213 area code, which I don't even know it's still 212. Oh, there's the turret tuner. There's the picture. Wait a minute. We're going to go extreme close-up here. And we're going to crank all this stuff up. See, I'm playing with my cameras now. But there is the turret tuner. It says made of nylon, practically indestructible, provides for instant insertion or removal of crystals. So you take your case off, I guess pull one of those little cylinders there, and hopefully you knew what position your channel was to get, 22 or 23 there. Channel numbers are set into the surface to assure locating crystals in correct position. All right, so it made it easy. They made it easy to do. Cool stuff. The General Radio Telephone MC7 from 1965. Thanks, Paul, for bringing it by. Cool. And speaking of cool, what was the ad they say? Cool, calm, and collected. That describes our next old tube radio operator. That's Mr. Ed, one of our net controllers. Hello, sir.
And hello, OTR. This time, I'm bringing by another Browning, the Golden Eagle Mark III SSB, with the Golden Eagle D104 microphone.
All right, this has all the upgraded classic stuff, and it sounds very nice. Let me go to our Browning Labs, and we have, courtesy of SWL 135, a really great picture of the Mark III, if I can find it. And I think he also has how come it's not coming up? There it is. The Golden Eagle microphone as well. In the meantime, let's hear all that stuff as you key the radio.
There we go with the nominal ping. Yes, and he has the Golden Eagle also microphone. In fact, when I got this one, we were talking about that, and he was mentioning. In fact, I think I sent him some pictures or something. Anyway, he was commenting how nice this one was. I got really lucky.
And that's a good thing. We're glad when our radio operators get lucky, because then we are the beneficiaries, and all of you out there at oldtuberadio.net are the beneficiaries of the great looking and sounding radios, which I'm sure many of you might have. So we appreciate our operators taking time out of their Saturday evenings to bring them by and share them with us. Take a transmission.
There we go. Yes. This one just slightly different. The case on that one is a different case. I got the wood grain case on this. The on-the-air light on that one is black with the red on the air. Mine is on the air red with the black letters on the air. So it's slightly different. And I do not have the little SWR knob in the left-hand corner of the transmitter.
Okay, yeah, that is interesting. I'm going to say that is the one we're showing is probably the more unusual on the air light, probably not very standard. And I'm not sure what that SWR knob is for. I don't think that's a factory thing, probably. But yours is sounding good. 1972, when these first arrived after, after the R68 T68, of course, and then after the Mark II and all its various formations. And then there was an AM version that would have a smaller transmitter, and the version that we are looking at that you have that has the sideband in the transmitter that's the same size as the receiver. If you had somewhere around $700 back 46, 7 years ago, you might walk away with one of these. You are Radio 7, SWL 7, sounding good. Give us a transmission. Thanks for bringing the radio by tonight.
Oh, and thank you. Without you, wouldn't have someplace to check him in.
Well, we'd go somewhere, right? That one's got more than channel 11, and it's also got sideband, so you could give the give the guys up on 38 lower a run for their money. Thanks for bringing the radio by, and the Old Tube Radio Network will be standing by looking for Radio 8, but at the almost bottom of the hour, the Jingle Singers are back at the microphoniums telling us about the magic that is the Old Tube Radio Network.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
Listening for radio number 8.
45.
Like a good day fishing. You just drop off the line and there is another bite on the hook. Hello, 45.
Now, can you hear me on this radio? It's quite a lower power radio. Anyway, this is my hammer CB-214.
Now, let me see if I have a picture of the Hammerland CB214. I think your crystal control is not the one where you have to dial up on the VFO. I hear you. The transmitter is sputtering a little bit. It's trying, but it's hanging in there. Let's go to a picture. And this is not what I expected on the Hammerlands. I've always forget there's the 213 and the ones with the clock. This looks like a very early Hammerland issue into the Class D 11 meter. So if you're hearing me, give it a transmission. Let's see what we can do here.
I don't know how long I'm going to be with you. That little light on the bottom begins flashing real bright and it's making a noise. It's cracking in there. Can't hardly hear a thing. So it's getting ready to probably lay down for a while. So I'll stay with it as long as I can. Back to you.
All right, good transmission that time. No crackling or anything. You mentioned the little light. There is the wired into the radio microphone and that light. So does that come on when you transmit? Does that blink at you over?
Yeah, I wasn't transmitting when it came on. Well, I mean, it came off light too. It's like the flashlight out there, red flashlight, real bright. And it was growling, the whole radio was growling. Well, it surprised me it's still going. No, stay with it anyway. It's interesting radio.
Well, it still sounds good. That's a little squeak when it unkeys. The 3 watts RF output, 5 watts input to the final, 12 volt DC. So it looks like it doesn't. Okay, it can run base or mobile. I was hoping I would have a date or a Sam's photo fax on that, because I have a feeling this one is definitely earlier. Although I thought they have a 213 or 23 or something. So I don't know. Unfortunately, I can't tell you as much as I would like to about this. It works. You know, I'll do a. Let me do a frequency check on that as well, as that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 channels. Channel 11, of course. See where you're at on frequency before it goes away completely. Back to you. Over.
Yeah, there's a... No, but anyway, yeah, if you're going to give it a frequency check, it seems like I was a little lower. I don't know, one way or another a little bit. I don't think it's serious. It's still within FCC recommendation. Anyway, that's kind of a real simple little radio. The 9 tubers, 6 crystals, 6 channel selector on the bottom left of the thing, and speaker on the right-hand upper side, and that's it. I don't know exactly when this thing was manufactured, but it must have been one of the first ones, because it's definitely bottom of the barrel. That's you.
No, it's sounding good. It says this is from your collection. So there's another, who was the other blue radio? The Jim Marine Products G-Powermate. And here's another one, blue. It hung in there, and you are correct, it is low, 27083.8. So if this was back in the day where the FCC really wanted to get picky, and I think they allowed the crystal to be 700 cycles off, high or low, which is kind of nitpicky from the channel spacing you had, you might be a little bit out of tolerance. You might get an NAL or a fix it, get a new crystal type of thing. But I don't think they'd mind now. I think they would appreciate the fact that, one, you still have the radio, and two, that we were featuring it right here on the Old Tube Radio Network for all to see. Thanks for bringing this one by. We don't hear the Hammerlands too often, although sometimes, and we have enough stations out there that have the Hammerlands, they can be a player if they want to be the most heard manufacturer. Back to you, and thanks for bringing it by. Radio number 8.
Yeah, okay. Like it now, it's calmed down. So that's what it needs. Maybe exercise a little bit. Sounds stupid, but it is. The things, I tell you, these things will keep you going all the time. Anyway, I was going to tell you about it. Thanks for checking it in, Dennis.
All right, thanks for bringing it by. 9:33 is the time here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Real radio's glowing in the dark. We have been doing exactly, if you've been listening or watching, exactly what you hear and see has been going on Saturday evenings here on Channel 11 in the Central Valley of California for the last 35 years as we just kind of take it easy and create the sounds that happened during the time that these radios were brand new out of the box. Having a good time. Hopefully that you might do something in your area. Get on the air night. It doesn't have to be old radios, but some evening or just you can be sure that there will be somebody on the radio. A lot of times you turn on your CB radio and it doesn't seem like there's anybody out there. So this is a good way on a formatted type situation to make sure that you can at least get a QSO or two when you jump into the radio room. Hey, SWL72, a radio boy is watching the video. Hi, Mike. Miguel is right out there. Let me go to the screen, and we'll pop up the SWL check-ins. I haven't heard you for a while, so I hope you are doing well. Thanks for checking in. And the old Tube Radio Network is looking, I think it's radio number 9, yeah. Open up the RF gain a little bit there. It has suddenly gotten quiet. It's still windy outside, though. Not messing up with any antenna static.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
Listening for radio number 9.
SWL number 7.
Hello, radio from the Old Tube Radio Network. Might you indeed have our 9th radio of the evening over?
Well, I do believe so. This one is the Tram TR27 Echo 23 channel transmit and receive.
Okay, we'll get a shot of that. That was getting some little interesting noise going on there, so hopefully it is not there when you key up again. Try it.
Uh-oh, I hope not. No noises. Yep. And the Electro Voice 638 microphone is attached, hopefully with no noise.
Well, it's sort of coming and going. It's a 120 cycle hum. Is that what it is? It's a little different. Something is... some little electrons are trying to make the connection. It is way below your audio, but I just wanted, it's something that I'm not used to hearing with that radio, so I just make sure that you're not hearing or seeing anything out of the ordinary on the Tram TR27E, which is up in the corner of the picture. Let's go to a larger than life shot or so, and here's a transmission.
There we go. Yes, the big green machine, although it's actually teal. Big S meter, 5x7 speaker. Nothing small about the radio.
No, even on my close-up, it fills up the page. Knobs are big. This is a type of radio you could probably operate in the bunker in December when you're wearing the gloves. You can grab onto everything and give it a turn.
Yeah, and you don't even have to put your glasses on to see the S meter because it's quite large. Man, it dwarfs everything else I have other than the big spectrum scope on the 7300 ICOM. So there you go.
I have a feeling this might be the 7300 ICOM of its day. And when the 7300 came out in 2017, 15, whatever, and this is 1963, so this was pretty much state of the art. Oh, we have a, you know what? I have a full screen. I have a full screen ad. Yeah, let's kick over to that and change the photo. And I'll wax poetic. It's from October 1963. Oh, that's right. We did this. It's got have the service tip. And they said they had a service tip each month. They had advertisements. And the cabinet, oh, here's a question. I wonder if your cabinet has been repainted. It says the cabinet now has an extra durable wrinkle finish. Would you say there's a wrinkle? See, that would be the telltale sign that somebody's repainted that. Would you say there might be a wrinkle finish on that cabinet?
It is most definitely a wrinkle finish. Yeah, that's the original stuff on there. In fact, there's a couple of chips here and there where you can see the metal, so there's no paint underneath it.
And a wrinkle finish is a good thing. I'm starting to get a wrinkle finish myself here, I think. So that just shows that you've got class. The little buzzing noise, I'll call it a crackling buzzing noise, was there again on that transmission. It's not bad. If you watch the video or listen to the archives, you will hear it. But it sounds like it may be on transmit only, not affecting the receive. Everything else is good to go. So we'll say, please take another transmission on Radio 9. I've got the picture. I've got the S-meter up. So if you're watching the video back, you'll be able to give yourself a radio check.
There you go. Well, I'm not seeing anything on the meters over here. Everything looks good. I'll have to check things out. I have been doing a lot of work around here and, do something to the radio room and do something with radio. It starts off to be just a minor project and then turns into hours.
Tell me about it. That's why I can't actually get started on some of this stuff, because it's going to be days and weeks. I just have to have the time and alternative things set up to do what I want to do. Your noise came in when I bet it's because you were moving, looking at something. I bet it's something in the microphone cable or some connection that way, or if there's something inducing something into that. I don't think it's the radio. I have a feeling it's probably in the mic cord, but it's not bad at all. Thanks for the Tram TR27E from 1963, sounding good in 2019.
Thank you. And with that, we'll sit back and take a listen.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network, looking for Radio 10. And someone else, Richard, is singing what I'm thinking. Sounds like a hum pickup from external source. As you know, fluorescent lights, little wall-wart power charger transformers, anything like that could do that. Or there might be that stray little stranded wire somewhere in the microphone cable that's just acting like an antenna, picking up some RF. Who knows? But he's got a classic mic with his classic radio. Classic radios are why we do this on Saturday evenings, and we're listening for yours. All right, here's the radio. Let's keep the radio. Here's the picture of the radio of the Buddy bass I was talking about earlier from Toby Fisher's collection. Let me get the full screen. And this is a great picture of the full radio with the on-the-air speaker. You can see the lighted dial, the receiver, the larger unit, and the transmitter. And this is one he has been working on, doing some refurb. I think he said he got it all finished. And there is another shot. Let's see if I can get that. And that is of the on-the-air speaker. I don't think we have any shots of the on-the-air light. There it is. Pretty cool. See, this is what the Buddy had that the Browning didn't have. Now, the Browning was a beautiful radio with the gold knobs and everything, but the on-the-air light, as we saw before, sort of stuck into the speaker. This had its own little, almost like you're in a broadcast studio on the air on the speaker. So imagine if you have the lights down low, you get a nice little red glow across the room. Thanks, Toby, for the great pictures, and I hope your Buddy is working well. I wish we could hear it. The Old Tube Radio Network, we are standing by. Latest propagation, solar flux index 73, sunspot 0, AF7 and a K of 2. Somewhere I have a chart. Not sure if I can put this in here or not. Let me see about A and K indexes. And all right, there it is. Is it... up at the top there, you can't see. Let me go full screen, that might help. Sunspot numbers. So in theory, what we're looking for, if I ever get my act together here, good conditions, a lower A index, good band conditions, lower K index. So in the A, you see the A up at 15 or 30 that you've got a storm going on. That's bad. We're at 7, so that's actually pretty high. For the A, looks like you need to be probably 5 or below, and the K, you want to be probably 4 or 3 or below. What did I say we were at? Showing an A of 7, K of 2. So we're okay there, but the A of 7 is a little bit high. And of course, the SFI, the higher it gets, it says you got some great conditions. Same way with the sunspot numbers. So coming up the cycle, when we get the SFI and the sunspots in the triple digits, we will be having a tough time talking to the locals here. Looking for Radio 10. And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
I've been off the radio for about 40 years, and you guys truck up and got on it for the first time in like 40 years.
Okay, I heard you say you haven't been on the radio for about 40 years. You've come to the perfect spot, because most of the radios we're checking in tonight are 40 or 50 years. So maybe the time warp, you have come around full circle. That's what we like to do, is make it sound as though you turned your radio on and it's 40 years ago. It's 1975 or it's 1965, and just the way you remember it, without all the wacky wild stuff that goes on today. Your audio is a little bit low, so on your next transmission, speak a little bit close to the microphone. My name is Dennis. We're here in Midtown Fresno, talking with the stations that run the classic old tube radios. Over.
Hi, Dennis. My name is Ken. It's been about, like I said, about 40 years. The last radio I had was a Midland 23.
Yeah, good old 23 channels. The FCC changed all that in 1976. That helped. Your audio came up. Sounds like the radio hasn't been transmitted for a while. A little crackly, but we do this every Saturday right here on Channel 11. So please come by and listen in and chat with us here. I don't know if you have... we specifically focus on the vacuum tube radios, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with. But are you on the Midland 23 now, or is that's old school radio?
No, I'm on a Cobra 29 right now. It's called a Cobra 29 WX NWSP sound tracker.
Okay, doing a good job. Audio's a little low. There's a little crackling in the microphone, but I hear you just fine. I thank you for keying up and saying hello. This is not a club. There's no membership dues, funny handshakes. You don't have to wear a funny hat. You can just key up and say hi. You don't even have to be on an old tube radio. What we call it the Old Tube Radio Network. Also, we are streaming live. If you have a Universal Media Net web device, you go to oldtuberadio.net. And we're also doing a live video, which is archived. So you will be able to hear yourself and give yourself a radio report if you check in and watch the video a little bit later on. How's that?
Good. Get it going.
Okay, microphone is breaking up a little bit. You'll be able to hear your microphone problem as well. And I got an S meter up here. You can give yourself a signal report. I missed your name or your handle or whatever, however you identify yourself. Over.
Well, I used to go by Turtle and then Super Skip, and now it's just Tim, I guess.
Tim, like in Tango India Mike?
That's for.
All right, another mighty Timtron here on Channel 11. Turtle sounds good. I can't remember what handles. When I first got on in 1970, I used to go by Canary because I had a canary in my room, and it would occasionally sing and come over the microphonium. How's that? Anyway, sounding good. I'm glad you chimed in here. Anytime you hear us on the Old Tube Radio Network, check us out. Or like I said, if you can't get by the radio, you can listen in at oldtuberadio.net when we are on the air. And good to hear Tim, the Turtle, hasn't been on. He says he hasn't been active much for 40 years. And what a great place, if you haven't been on the air for 40 years, what a great place to turn your radio on to, where we're doing basically what happened 40 years ago. You will start pinching yourself just to make sure that you're in the 21st century.
Number 7.
Hello, Mr. Ed, over.
One more radio for the night, the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223.
All right, sounds good. Anybody watching the video seems to be struggling with my chair. Something's falling apart here. So if I fall out of the video, it's because something wacky has happened to the old tube radio air chair. All right, I'm glad we got an E.F. Johnson radio because I'm sure Tim is probably familiar with the E.F. Johnson, like the Viking Messenger 1, the white face, the black face, the 223. What was their solid state radios about that time? The 323 and the 123. Well, we are going back to about 1968 to about 1972 with the radio that our station is talking on here. And if you've got a chance to bring up the video, I will bring up a picture to go with it as well. Back to you for a transmission.
There we go. Yeah, I'm going to send a picture to you with this one of the blue LEDs, and got the Silver Eagle D104 attached. Yeah, and of course the Buffalo nickels in the dials instead of the little pieces of metal or whatever the heck they were. Anyway, that's what I got.
What you got sounds good. Yeah, we can only hear, as an SWO, we can only hear what comes out of the SO239 on the back, right? So as a driver, as the operator, that's why I like the video. And adding picture to radio is always a bad thing sometimes, but in this case, it gives us the feel of being with the operator and driving the radio. Now, the shot, as Ed said, the shot we're showing here has no resemblance to what's going on with his radio. So he says he's going to try and set as a picture. It'll be great because I do want to see the modifications. But it's still, when you take off all the bling and the finery, it is a Messenger 223 underneath, which is basically the Messenger 2 with the S meter and 23 channels added. This radio sold for about $200. A little bit more if you got it with the supplied desk microphone, which it often came with. And it did not go mobile. Johnson wanted you to buy their other, the 123s and 323s. They wanted you to buy their other mobile radios for your second. When you got your license, you needed to have a base, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. So you buy this for your base and then pick up their other stuff to go in the cars. Over to you for transmission on Radio 10. Yay.
Oh, there we go. Got into double digits. Well, I'm afraid that's all I've got hooked up at this time, so last radio for the night, and I'll sit back and listen on the software-defined radio.
On SDR, that's what we're missing. We don't have, I'm going to say, an internet-based SDR receiver here, so people would actually be able to tune in and hear us over the air. Somewhere, I don't know, it wouldn't have to be that far away, or that close by, I should say. But the big ones that are on are Salt Lake City and wherever. I don't think they would pick stuff up. I'm not sure. A lot of them are ham radio operators run by ham radio people, so I don't know if they ever look at their little dial and see this, like, oh, it's on 27 megs. What's going on there? But see, it's okay. The Old Tube Radio Network, we run a tight ship here. I better be careful how I say that. And so everybody behaves. We have a good time. And you never know. You might be here a non-Class D 11-meter radio on there, so we would classify. Thanks for Radio 10. As always, it is sounding good.
And thank you.
And the Jingle Singers are having too much fun over there. We're glad they are back, and it's close to that time. So I think they have their favorite end of the net musical ditty queued up here.
You're tuned to
OTR, Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
As modern as you can on your old tube radio. Looking for 11 if it's out there, and counting and amounting.
Thank you, Dennis. This is OTR. This is Tim. I was able to change the microphone. Is this any better?
Yeah, it sounds good. The audio is a little bit low, but its clarity is good. Over.
Thank you very much. I've got a few knobs I can play with here, but I don't know if I can do anything much about the volume level.
No, that's good. In fact, I want you to take another transmission on the radio, and that way if you go to oldtuberadio.net and you listen in to the end of the audio archive, or you watch the video, and I've got an S meter up, you can see your signal coming in, you will hear the improvement. And I think you moved a little bit closer. You turned the knobs, you rotated the dials. It is sounding good. Take another transmission.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I will definitely check out the archive and see what's going on. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right, the mighty Timtron beaconing back. And that is another function of old tube radio. We'd like to do is, if you're checking, even if it's a new radio, an old radio, checking things out, working with microphones, checking frequency, all that stuff. So glad to help out. OTR standing by for Radio 11.
Break OTR.
Or any SWL check-ins. The break OTR, go ahead, please.
SWL 65 checking in.
I can do that. Let me go to the big page, click on the item that says 65, put the check mark on, and you have just beaconed around the radio world. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. Have a good one.
And I'm counting and mounting, and I hadn't quite gotten to page 3 yet, so that's good. Another notch for page 3. Almost like I haven't done this. I'm putting X's in the wrong square. I've got some people that are checked in next week that haven't even checked in yet. Still looks a little breezy out there.
Breezy heck, that's a wind.
Yeah, they said gusts to 40 for our little neck of the woods here. That's quite a bit. So just make sure the guy wires are tight. And, Richard, SW, you know what we have? Because what we do, I don't explain this that often. The SWL list, which is here, and when we first started, we didn't, an analog list that you have to write. We used to write this by hand, and when we started this, 1985, 86, I used to do these by hand because my handwriting was good, so they would send them over to me. We didn't even have printers. Nobody had a printer. And there was a lot of SWLs, but we knew there was a lot of people listening that didn't have tube radios, and we wanted to acknowledge them and sort of put them at the beginning of the net, and then focus more on the tubes at the end. And again, there is no number necessary to participate, but if you'd like to get on the list, and I can do that, and we have an 8-week roster, as it were. So if you can check in at least once every 8 weeks, then we can keep you in that number. So what happens is people come and go, and so the numbers get reissued, because otherwise we would have 10,000 numbers and we would never get to the radio. So Richard is saying, how do we get an SWL? Let me see what I've got. I think there's some openings on page 2. Yeah, you know what? I've got SWL 78. So let me put Richard in there, Richard B. So take a Post-it, like this, a little Post-it note or one of those Dymo. Most of the old tube radios that show up have the Dymo marker labels, and punch out SWL 78 and affix it to the radio. Good, we have one more check-in now. SWL 78 on page 3. Good to have you on the list. And then we do the roll call at the beginning, but of course you can come in anytime and say, hey, I'm here. And then we do this. We go over, if you watch the Universal Media Net web page, we go SWL 78 and it says checking in, and then we do this and it says, we hope, checked in. Yeah, all right. 33 and a third. Richard, you're going to make me key up for it. I am 33, SWL 33, and on one of the 40-meter frequencies, they had a net, and it was pretty goofy, and they let you pick your number. And this is amateur radio, so this is on 40 meters, and I picked 33 and a third, believe it or not, and I was 33 and a third on the, I don't know what it was. What was it? Wally Net, I think it was called. Don't ask. But indeed, I am a 33 1/3 check-in, like the old LP. If I had one, right here, maybe we'll do that. I have my close-up camera, but there's nothing to add to it. Where is it? It's this one right here. There's the close-up camera. I will bring the 33 1/3 album next week. Maybe we should do that, have a featured album from whatever year the radio is checking in. 1967, we'll call it a 1967 album. Let me stop talking. Are there any other stations that would like to check in before we sign out tonight?
Always nice to have a new SWL number.
Yes, indeed. We have a lot of people waiting for some band openings. I think when things get ripping and roaring, we'll have to have like a daytime frequency somewhere. The only problem with 11 meters is you just can't hear anything. So I hope a lot of you, if you don't have your amateur radio ticket already or thinking about getting it, now's a great time to think about that and upgrade, because the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years are going to be fantastic for DXing on all sorts of frequencies. And when 10 meters opens up, it's this nice large frequency, and you will just be in awe when you go from a 20 dB over signal on every single channel on your 11 meter radio to 10 meters, and you hear 12 stations in the AM window, and they're all coming in great. Nobody's having to run 1,000 watts. Counting and mounting, we'll be right back. And then Mr. Announcer said,
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
This would be the current and final OTR totals here in the Old Tube Radio Network. Let's go with the SWLs first. Page 1, we had 13 check-ins. Page 2, we had 13 check-ins. Page 3, we had 14 check-ins. And page 4, we had 15 check-ins for a total of 55. If you're keeping score, if you're a statistician. And then on radios. Oh, and we added, if you're playing the home game, make sure that you've added Richard over on. Thanks for the post-it. Yeah, that's better than scratching into the case. SWL 78 has been added in, and he is from Everett, Washington, up in Everett, Washington. So actually, it's a very good chance that he will be beaconing in from Everett, Washington. And if I ever get my antenna situation back from that location, I should probably hear him on 40 meters and 75 meters and 20 meters. And I don't know, that could be to wait for the evening skip on 10 meters. Richard, listen in on Wednesday evenings here on the Pacific Coast at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays at 28,445 upper sideband. That is the Central Valley 10-meter net. And if the conditions are open, they do get a lot of 7 check-ins. So listen for net control. And 7235 at 9 a.m. I'll listen in for that. Thanks on that. All right, what are we doing? I am signing off. We are reading the radios, and the most heard manufacturer tonight was General Radio Telephone with 3. Brownings had 2. Anyway, we started with the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A, and that was Mr. Green Arrow. See what you did, Cliff? You you stirred up the pot, and the General Radios did fine business. Radio number 2 tonight was the Buddy Bass, the TX11B RC11B from Paul. Radio number 3 was the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A from Chris. With the old, and we learned about the old man in the wheelchair. Radio number 4, Mr. Ed on the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68, the Browning, as Jerry would say, the Browning Mark None. Radio 5, Chris on the Gem Marine Products G PowerMate. He followed that, or it was followed by Paul on the General Radio Telephone MC7. Don't hear many of those, but they are around. Radio 7 was Ed, Mr. SWL7, Mr. Ed on the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. The Hammerland CB214 from Paul. The early Hammerland radio. Sounding okay. I think that carbon microphone needs a little bit of SWL number 1. You would hear him. We would be talking on the General Radio telephones, and he would just start banging the microphone on the table, the carbon microphone, to make those little carbon granules unpack. And sure enough, his audio would come right up. All right, sorry, I'm beating up the Heil microphone here. Where do we go? The Hammerland. Okay, radio number 9 was Mr. Ed on the Tram TR27E, and then we had the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223 also from Ed. Thanks to all of you listening. I hope you do something like this wherever you are with a Get on the Air night. The Old Tube Radio Network in our 34th, 35 year. We've been on a long time, thanks to you and your collections. And it's always been fun, and it will be. So if you'd like to check the archives, oldtuberadio.net, it'll be up there shortly, and the video will be on for who knows how long. 73, everybody, from your Old Tube Radio Network.
Good night. Good night.
And thank you, Bozo Control.
Yeah, it's good to have the jingle singers back. It was cool over the phone last week, but it sounds better when they're live and direct. Okay, I think it's time to turn the Nixie tubes back on and say goodnight on the video. Thanks for watching from your Old Tube Radio Network. And as always, I have to find out, there we go, which window has the stream on it so I can turn it off.
Again, fun listening.
See you later.